Hello, it is I, now. Typically, if you remove the nostalgia from any older game, you'd know that the newer video games are heaps better than the older ones. I mean, there's no doubt that Grand Theft Auto 5 is heaps better than San Andreas. However, with racing games, this is not the case. Old racing games include features that the new games from today do not have, and we'd all like to see these make a return someday in the future. So here are a few things we'll miss from old racing games. Now, before getting into this video, yes, I'm wearing a hat right now. I am having a bad hair day. Told you. Achoo, achoo. As you can see, I'm sick right now. Sick of you guys not obliterating that like button. Are you dumb? 7,500 the like target. What the hell? 7,500 likes is the like target. If you don't press that like button, yeah, then your mum. Yeah, your mum. And subscribe too. Nearly 60% of you guys watching are not subscribed. That is a major violation. I do not care what any of you guys say. So subscribe if you want to see more content just like this and me having this hair. Anyways, without further ado, let us get into
they said they like
this
it when I rap like this. So I reckon I better give it a down. Real trap nigga, I'm grabbing them packs and I push it around.
If there's one thing that's been getting worse and worse with every new racing game, especially the Forza franchise, it's the damage model. In old Forza games, bumpers get torn off, headlights explode, windows get shattered, paint gets sanded off, etc, etc. But in the slightly newer Forza titles, all you really get are small dents, scratches, and a little crack in the windshield. Now I feel like the reason why the damage in the later games aren't so great is because the car manufacturers don't want their cars being crashed into and torn apart in the game, which I just don't get. If the manufacturers were giving out real life cars and they don't want them damaged, then that's fair enough. But in a game where the image is just pixels on the screen, what exactly is there to lose? So if it is the manufacturers not wanting their cars to be damaged in the game, then this is not the game's fault in the slightest. But I'm sure that everybody else along with myself would love to see a much more intense damage model in the future racing games to come. Now this is a controversial one. Nobody likes hackers. From games like Fall Guys, CS, or whatever game you play, they are just awful. But in games like Gran Turismo 5, hackers were amazing. If you had a memory stick, you could tinker with the game files, trick the games and swap crazy engines into your car, get some mad fitment, and reach insane speeds in whatever car of your liking. It was definitely annoying when people used these cars in races to win millions of credits, but there were a ton of fun online in free roam lobbies, just to mess around. However, if hacked cars aren't exactly your thing, how about cheat codes? Cheat codes were a huge thing back in the PlayStation 2 era of games, that randomly disappeared in the future generations. And it's such a shame because these were so amazing. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 was one game that incorporated cheat codes, and I loved them. You can temporarily unlock certain cars using these codes, change the weather, paint your car chrome, unlock certain features in the game like video mode, and even make your car smaller to look like an RC car. How amazing would this be in Forza Horizon 4? Honestly, it's so sad to see cheat codes disappear after the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation of racing games, so fingers crossed that they make a comeback in the future games to come. Customization in racing games aren't terrible. Need for Speed are smashing it with wide bodies, insane bumpers, odd wheels, tires. They are on a whole nother level. However, these new games are missing so many amazing mods that would have been perfect in these games. With the old Forza Motorsport games, weight reduction actually strips out some parts of your car, like the seats. This is so cool, but where is it in today's Forza games? Yep, it's just disappeared. With Gran Turismo games, changing the exhaust on your car actually changes the sound of your car, which is realistic. However, it's so rare to see racing games doing this nowadays. Need for Speed Heat has introduced sliders to adjust the sound of your car, so big props to them for doing that. In Midnight Club LA, you could customize the interior of your car, change the steering wheel, change the seats, have footwell lights, change the color of your whole car's interior. It was revolutionary. However, now interior customization is practically gone, ignoring the crew too because you can only change the color of your interior there. Midnight Club also had hydraulics, which is insane. No racing game at all has this. And both in MCLA and Need for Speed Underground games, you could install scissor doors onto your car. Yes, it's unnecessary because you can't open the doors whilst you're driving, but it was such a cool thing to have. So let's hope for customization in future games to have a massive overhaul.
Mommy told me go get this money and kill the game.
A huge problem with many recent racing games is the unoriginality of the missions. Everything's either a sprint race or a circuit race, and those are incredibly boring. Now you might be thinking, what other racing game missions can we have? Those are the only missions that exist. Oh, well, that's where you are wrong. For starters, look at TDO2. They had speed trap missions, where speed traps were scattered all across a small area of the map. You along along with the other racers have to go through these speed traps as fast as possible and get the highest average speed trap speed. Now this was a genius mission, as it didn't just require skill and precision, but you had to be systematic with what speed traps to trigger first and how long of a run up you need. It's a mission that so many people have forgotten about, and it's a shame because it was genuinely so much fun to play. Definitely my favourite mission in TDU. On top of that, pink slips will be just as amazing. A 1v1 race where the winner takes the opponent's car. As simple as that. These different missions could make racing games so much more engaging and intense, thus resulting in an amazing racing game as the end product.
She just wanna fuck me for the...
One big problem for me and a lot of racing game players is the lack of standard road cars in the newer games. Old racing games such as Gran Turismo, the Need for Speed franchise, and Used 1 included many standard cars. I mean, almost every car in the game is one you'd see casually driving in real life. The reason why us players love seeing standard road cars in racing games is because they're realistic. They're cars you can actually own in real life, and some of these standard cars you might actually even own. I mean, my very own car is in Gran Turismo's 5 and 6. However, nowadays in racing games, they only include the top spec version of each car. For example, in Horizon 4 we got a V6 Renault Sport Clio instead of a standard 1.2 Dynamique. Need for Speed Heat we got a Mark 7 Golf GTR Club Sport, not a standard Golf Blue Motion. The Crew 2 we got an M5 instead of a 520D, etc, etc. So it'd be so nice to have standard cars in racing games, just like what we got in the old Gran Turismo franchise. It would actually be a smart marketing strategy for the car manufacturers too, so yeah, I never thought about that. Anyways, into the next point. Progression in recent racing games is just non-existent. You literally get given everything straight to you. You get to drive a Bugatti Chiron within the first 5 minutes of the gameplay. You get a brand new GT350R as a starter car. Everything is just handed to you way too easily. Now there is the argument that a lot of racing game players nowadays are kids. They don't want to work hard to get stuff in the game. They want McLaren F1s for free right at the start of the game. Well, people like myself have played Gran Turismo 3 as a kid, where the games back then were so unforgiving. Yet I still enjoy that game at the age of 6. The progression on that game was on point. It's such a shame to see recent racing games being so easy on you, and even some of my younger audience can agree. We want racing games to be harsh on us. Give us a tiny budget for our starter car. Don't give us hypercars right at the start of the game. Don't casually give me 20k for winning a race. Honestly, if any racing game devs or directors are watching this, take a look at the old Gran Turismo games. They nailed everything with the progression system, and even Test Drive Unlimited games. Their progression system was just as good and enjoyable, so fingers crossed that we get proper progression for the future racing games to come.
Had to run back the 125, I thought the two-wheeler was auto.
Racing game developers all around the world, we need interesting stories to make a return. So many old racing games used to have amazing engaging stories which sucked you right into the game and really helped to immerse you. However, nowadays, a lot of racing games are just abandoning stories. I personally don't think that it's because they can't think of story ideas, but more that the devs are just becoming more and more lazy. One game that's really annoyed me with this is The Crew 2. The Crew 1 had an incredible story, an interesting one that made you feel like you were literally playing a movie. The game had so much potential, but they ruined it by turning the game into a typical festival racing game experience, and it's honestly so disappointing. Don't get me wrong, The Crew 2 is an amazing game that I really do enjoy, but imagine the potential this game would have had if they actually stuck to a storyline, doing all the typical Crew 1 police chase missions, but with planes, helicopters and boats, instead of just cars. Imagine how amazing that would have been as a game. Literally the only modern racing game that has an interesting storyline are the Need for Speed games, and I do give them props and praise them for doing so. You can tell that the devs of that game are really passionate when it comes to developing a game, but I really wish that storylines can be more prominent in future racing games to come. Anyways, that is the end of the— why am I doing this? Anyways, that is the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did and want to see more stuff just like this, then obliterate that like button and subscribe too. We do be trying to hit 165k subscribers by the end of this month, and any help will be greatly appreciated. Anyways, until next time, have a good one guys, stay safe, stay inside. Till next time.
Hey, they said they
Cheers.
like it when I rap like this, so I reckon I better off feeling than that. I Billy be 1 in a million, killing the shit when I hit like a swing in the bat. Average, you and I rapping like this, then the fuckers are bringing it back. If you ain't gonna listen to this, how the fuck you gonna listen to that? Well, you be